Okay, bro, so much has gone down. I really just need to give an overall update. Okay, first big thing, I helped one of my buddies, the Iron Man guy, I helped him get a job in SF. So I guess to set the scene, if you remember, before I joined Leland full time, I was recruiting for another startup, and it was a YC startup. Got through a couple rounds, and then they were like, okay, we'll let you know for the third round because I was supposed to go do a third round. And then in the midst of that interview process, Leland went ahead and they gave me the offer. And so they hit me with the offer, and then they gave me a timeline for, okay, we need to hear back from you by the end of this week. And so I had to choose between, was I going to stick with Leland or finish interviewing? Because as soon as I let that startup know, they're like, okay, actually, let's skip your third round. Let's just do a work trial already. And instead of doing the work trial like 3 weeks from now, let's do it this weekend. What do you? I was like, okay, maybe I'll do that. So I was really trying to decide between the two. Ultimately, I chose Leland. Honestly, the biggest decision was just because there's so much learning potential. The people over there are sick. The culture over there I really like. And so there's all these reasons why I ended up sticking with Leland. And I didn't think much of it. Founder, he then hits me up that I was interviewing with. He hits me up, hey, anyone else that would be a good fit, I'll give you some money if we end up choosing them. And referred my boy, literally took 5 seconds. I just texted, boom, set him up, set him on my way. And then he ended up getting the job. And 3 months, the way it works is 3 months after his start date, if he stays on, then I get 10K. So from that, I got an easy 10K, literally the easiest 10K I've ever made in my life. So I was like, yep, sounds good. So that's some background for the story that I'm about to tell. So that all happened over the summer a while ago. I think I got that 10K like 3 months ago in December. Okay, sounds good. So I'm out here in Northwestern. I'm like trying to figure out like, oh, actually, I'm not even looking or thinking about anything. I'm just like on the grind, on the school grind, on the Leland grind, doing my thing. Founder hits me up again. He's like, hey, do you know anyone that would be a good fit? And I'm like, oh, dang, perfect. Let me see what I can do. So one of my other boys, the Iron Man guy, I'm like, oh, perfect. Like he is on the hunt for some jobs. So I was like, I'll just make this quick text intro and then let them go on their way. He ends up first round, good. Second round, good. Went and did a work trial. And then in the span of 1.5 weeks, he literally had the offer signed. I'm like, okay, like this is insane. So he had the offer signed, which means another super, super easy 10K. So that's one thing. But the other thing is that as he was going through that whole process, I was really thinking in my head, I was like, oh, dang, do I want to go to Leland now? Do I want to join this startup? Because all my buddies are there. Like two of my buddies over there, they're like super cool. I would love to room with them. SF energy, like that might be perfect. So then I just started thinking about, oh my goodness. So I texted that same founder. I'm like, hey, do you know anyone that would be hiring an SF? Because I'm interested in joining an SF startup. So he puts the text out there. Literally in the span of 10 minutes, I get 3 interviews with 3 founders at 3 sick startups. So I'm like, oh, damn. This happened on Sunday, and then I had interviews lined up for Monday and Tuesday. So one was going to happen on Monday, and then the other was going to happen on Tuesday. And keep in mind, it's Wednesday right now. So this was literally all in the span of the last 3 days. So Monday, I had the interview. Honestly, bro, I thought I did terrible. Like, I really thought I bombed the interview. Like, after I was thinking about all the questions he asked and all the responses that I now, looking back, would have given, like, immediately his first question that, like, hit, it felt like a sucker punch because it really caught me off guard. His first question was, what's the hardest problem you've worked on? And honestly, this is like the most basic like YC question ever. This is literally what they ask you in the application. So looking back, I wish I would have thought about that question more, thought about my answer more. But off the cuff, I like responded with some whatever answer. That really caught me off guard. And then as he kept asking his questions, like I felt like I was like rambling, like a consultant just throwing out big words, not even getting to the point. And I really felt it because usually in these interviews, they give you like 5, 10, maybe 10 minutes to ask whatever you want. And so I asked him like these heavy hitting questions. I was like, okay. I usually like taking up the entire time that we have. Like, I never want to end the interview with there being enough time and I still could have asked another question. So I asked the first question and then he literally gives like a 3, 4 word response. And I'm over here expecting like a long answer because it was a long question that usually needs long answers, but he just gave like a super quick, super succinct, super concise response. And I was like, dude, what? So I asked him another question. And then again, he hits me with a 2-word response. And then I asked him another question, then again. And then I'm like, oh dang, I think I ran out of questions. And then literally in that interview, I had this brain fart. I literally was trying to think of any other questions to ask. And while I was thinking of any questions to ask, I was thinking about how I completely messed up on answering his questions because like my responses were so long. So I was literally just overthinking everything, had a huge brain fart, was silent for like, it was like that awkward type of silence in the interview. And then we ended it and there were still like 4 minutes left for me to ask questions, but I literally had no questions to ask. So I was like, dang, dude, that sucks. That was how my first interview went on Monday. I really felt like I messed it up. I felt bad because the founder that I asked to give me like these interviews, he was really sticking his neck out for me. He was really like hitting all these people up in his network, referring me because he has done all the checks. But for me to bomb this interview, like it puts a bad reputation on him. So I felt bad. I didn't even let him know about how the interview went. After the interview, I was like, dang, like that sucks. Like I'm gonna just learn from this. And so I took all those learnings. I went on a long run. I think the day after, not a long run, but like a 5-miler. And I'm really thinking about that. And then took all those learnings into my next interviews, which was on Tuesday. But that day, I realized I got this email in my inbox and it said, hey, you got through to the second round. I was like, oh, what? That literally blew my mind. I honestly felt like I bombed that interview, but got through the second round, which was like a case study thing that I did earlier this morning. But overall, the interviews that I did yesterday, so the 2 of them. The first one, I think it was super easy, honestly. That one felt a lot better, probably the best one out of the 3. The only thing was that the startup itself, they weren't really looking to hire anyone, or at least they weren't really looking to hire any non-technical people, which is me. And so they were really like, oh, what would you be interested in? We'll see what we can do. Maybe fit you in here, maybe fit you in there, like that stuff. So I was like, okay, it doesn't seem like a super big need for them right now. Maybe later. And then the third interview, this one was very interesting because it's an extremely technical startup. But the only thing is that they've literally had no non-technical people on their team so far. So if I joined them, I'd literally be the first non-technical person, which means I would have to build literally everything from 0 to 1. And I could really tell because of the questions he asked. Like he asked me some of the most like unnecessary questions ever. Like these questions, I'm like, dude, why are you asking this? This is not something that you should be like thinking about for go to market for like marketing at all. So that was my first like red flag there. So I think with that one, I'll probably stop interviewing with them. Like even if they push me through to a second round. So that all happened yesterday. And then this morning I had the second round. So it was this case study thing. They gave me 3 hours. I like ran through it. Honestly, I felt semi good about it. I really wasn't sure about how I felt about it because I basically ChatGPT'd everything. And as I was ChatGPTing everything, like of course I was like trying to learn, trying to think through, make sure it's not like AI slop. But from his reaction, he was honestly like super impressed with what I put together, which felt really good. And then of course, after I asked for feedback, that felt awesome. So next steps for that will be another call with his co-founder. And then after that, we might do a work trial. We'll see. But that is like the current state of interviewing for SF startups. And I guess I probably should have explained this earlier, but I think the only change now since the split decision that I had to make from the summer is purely that I think it would be more fun. And by that, like it would be more fun to live with my boys and build this startup that we're working on. That's honestly the only thing that would have changed. And I still, even now, like I'm so unsure about whether I'm thinking through it the right way. So I remember I was like talking with chat for an hour trying to get career advice. Okay, I'm at this crossroads. Help me think through this. I'm not sure what to do. And then earlier today, I also talked with one of my mentors, like very early on mentor. This is the guy who really like, he honestly has helped me a ton with trying to figure out my career. But very early on, I interned with him, loved him, stayed on with him for like 8 months, which was supposed to be like 3 months. But we pushed it out to 8 full months and I was like really taking charge and then ended up leaving because I was doing other stuff. But one of the pieces of advice that he gave me that was super, super helpful is to go join a sales growth role at a Series A, Series B startup, because that's where you'll learn a ton and you'll be able to work on so many different things. And it's small enough to where you can go and solve whatever problems you need to, but it's also big enough that there's other people for you to learn from, especially early on in your career. That's super important. And so I really ran with that advice, ended up at Leland, like really taking his advice. And then I hit him back up now because I'm trying to get his thoughts on what he thinks I should do, especially at this really weird crossroad in my career. And so I explained the situation, and honestly, that was super, super helpful. That was probably the most enlightening conversation. Because keep in mind, all I've asked was like, the only people I've been able to bounce these ideas off of is ChatGPT, my family, who really has no context, and then my friends, who really has no context. And so being able to ask him and get the advice from someone who's like actually gone through a lot of this stuff, and is someone I trust, and is someone that has my interests in mind, like I think that's super helpful. And so honestly, probably the biggest takeaway from that convo was, first of all, have a super high bar for whatever startup I end up joining. If I decide to leave and go join an SF startup, like I should have a super high bar, because Leland itself it's a super great thing. And honestly, talking with him helped me like realize that, because I think I've been taking it for granted, like Leland and being able to like have this work-life balance, and also amazing culture, and like super cracked people, and so many people that I can learn from. Like all these things that I've been taking for granted, have a super high bar for the startup that I do end up joining. Don't just accept an offer because I have an offer. Make sure it's an offer at a startup that I actually like and I actually enjoy. So that was one big takeaway. And another big takeaway that kind of goes along with that is to not be the first growth hire, not be the first like non-technical hire. And this is all because I want to learn from other people. Like I don't want to go in and be like head honcho, number one dog, especially this early on in my career. And that was something that that's something that I knew that he really enforced, that reminded me of it. It was like, yes, no, that's totally right. Like, I don't want to be the one who's running everything, especially at this point in my career, because I'm so early on and I have so much to learn. So that was all super helpful. And then he also gave me advice on like how to handle this, how I should talk to my managers and Leland about it if I do end up joining an SF startup. So yeah, that's all to say. I'm at this very interesting crossroads in my career, and I'm really still trying to think through it. And I'm still not sure what I'm going to do, because a couple days ago, I was like really bullish on I'm going to be an SF. I'm going to go join a startup out there. Now, after that convo and really thinking harder about it, like Leland is just such a great startup. Like it's such a great place. And so part of me wants to just stay and keep chugging along, especially because like they believed in me even before I've graduated college. So still trying to work through that. We'll see what I end up deciding. That is the major update in terms of the work side. So I guess running back through updates in other aspects, update on my God and my relationship with God. Honestly, I think it's been super helpful to be around other Christians. And I started going to I think it's like a Presbyterian church, but I started going to that. Honestly, the last week we had the pastor and he was preaching. And I was like, dude, this guy can preach, bro. Oh my goodness. It's just the difference between that and in the LDS church. It's just like a everyday member who goes in, they give a little talk, but they have no formal training. They have no background in public speaking usually. And so they just get up there, they spiel, they usually prepared it like the night before. But with this pastor, bro, he spends like 20 hours a week. And he's been doing this for 20 years, and just, oh my goodness, it was so impressive. So that was one thing. And there's tons of other differences I've seen, at least, from going to this Christian church versus the LDS church. And I say Christian just in the everyday Christian sense, but that might not be helpful. Anyways, that's not important. The important thing is that I have been really trying to build that relationship, trying to pray. I think it's also helpful just take the step back, not get lost in the sauce. Like really focus on building that relationship with God and Jesus Christ. And then I can start diving into the nitty gritty, sola scriptura, like salvation, what's required, what might be important. Honestly, it is super important, but I don't think it's as important as me not having a relationship with God. Or I guess better said, it's better to act now and start building that relationship than to stop acting now, spend all my time thinking, and never even get to the first step of having a relationship with God. So that's where I stand right now. Update on my people. Yeah, honestly, it's an interesting ride, especially with this debate of whether I'm going to end up in SF or not. So we'll see how that plays out. And then update on myself. Dude, I think I'm back in prime running, prime cardio. Like I don't think I'd been this fit since I started marathon training the last time. And ever since then, bro, my fitness level has just gone insanely. So now to be back on it, I'm back on my sleep, I'm back on my diet. Like it feels really good. I'll be super honest, bro. The other day, I was really in this binge eating mindset, bro. I was like, dang. I think it was definitely because I failed or I felt like I bombed that interview. And so that really got in my head. And then I was like, dang, I might as well just go and binge all this food. That's all the update. There are probably some other things on my mind that I wanted to talk about. Maybe I can hit on them real quick. I just really wanted to tell that whole story because I am really at this crossroads. But a couple things I've been thinking about. First is the Pygmalion effect. And I've always thought about this idea, just didn't have a name for it, but I guess it's called the Pygmalion effect. And this is just when our beliefs influence the outcome. And so a perfect example of this is the study where they had these teachers and they told the teachers, hey, there's a specific student in your class that you should expect great things. The only thing was that the students were selected at random. Like it doesn't matter if they were actually a bad student or a good student. Like the researchers just told the teachers, like this student, you should expect great things from them. And so because of that, it influenced the teacher's actions. And they would do certain things that would make this student stand out, give them more attention or be more patient with them. All these different things that eventually they found that the students that they told the teachers they should expect great things from, those students actually performed way better. And it hits on this idea of the Pygmalion effect, which is when our beliefs influence the outcome. A question that really got me thinking was that one from the interview that really caught me off guard. What's the hardest problem you've worked on? I thought that's a really good question, honestly. And after thinking about it more, I'd probably explain it was when I got the challenge to make $1,000 with the startup. And keep in mind, up to that point, I was making zero money, and I really had to just make $1,000. And so I just started grinding, doing whatever I could. And then one final thing I'll leave off with is something I heard from Layla Hormone podcast the other day. And I was talking about how hard times are a gift, and they're a gift for growth. And it really got me thinking about the story I shared last episode talking about like feedback is a gift. And when you get feedback, you should receive it. Like it's this gift that someone has given you. And with gifts, you don't just put it on the ground and stomp on it. You want to receive the gift. So that is all. Now I'm going to go ahead and get some free food. I've been surviving off of free food for a while now, which is super nice. But yeah, a very interesting part of my career right now. We'll see how I navigate this, but this is just a show, man. These are those moments where I don't know where I'm going to be, but I know how to get there. I'm just going to get there by pushing forward, playing by ear, feeling forward, all the good things. So I'll catch y'all. I record these episodes completely free to share success with everyone. So the only thing I ask is that if you learned anything or found something interesting in this episode, just leave a review and share it with a friend. Only takes 5 seconds and it would mean the world. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next episode. Tatok, see you.